Okay, in this problem, I'm going to explain how to solve for the empirical formula and then for the molecular formula. This is problem number 10 on, I think it was a purple sheet. The top of the sheet says Chapter 10 Mixed Review. So the first thing you do is look at what's given. In this problem, you were given percents. And maybe you remember what I said about percents to grams. The first thing you can do is just take away the percent sign and write grams. So 40% carbon is the same thing as 40 grams of carbon. And your first step in a empirical formula is going grams to moles. So I'm going to divide my 40 grams of carbon by 12.01 grams of carbon. That's carbon's molar mass. So grams on the bottom, 1 mole on top. When you do that division, you get 3.33. Then we take our 6.7 grams of hydrogen and divide it by 1.01 molar mass of hydrogen. All right, and you get 6.63 when you do that dividing. And finally, you take your 53.3 grams of oxygen and divide that by 15.99, the molar mass of 1 oxygen, and we get 3.33. Okay, so that's step number 1. Step number 2 is now deciding, out of those 3 answers, which number is the smallest. Well, 2 of your answers is the same, it's 3.33, and we're going to divide by that smallest answer. So 3.33 divided by 3.33 is 1. 6.63 divided by 3.33 is roughly 2. You're looking for whole numbers in these. And then 3.33 divided by 3.33 is 1. What these whole numbers now tell us is how we can write the empirical formula. So the first one goes with carbon, so we're just going to write C. The 2 goes with hydrogen, so we're going to write H2. And finally, the last one goes with oxygen. So this is our empirical formula, CH2O. Next, we're going to start the steps to find the molecular formula. The first step of finding the molecular formula is finding the molar mass of our empirical formula. So we're going to add 1 carbon, 2 hydrogens, and 1 oxygen. Add those all together and we get 30.02. Okay, so that's our molar mass of our empirical formula. Next, we're going to look back at the problem, and you'll see there's one number we haven't used yet, the 180. So we're going to take that large number that's given to us, 180, and we're going to divide it by 30.02. And the grams cancel out, and we're left with an answer of 6. This should be a whole number, roughly. So the last thing we're going to do is take this number 6 and multiply it by every part of the empirical formula. So in the empirical formula we had 1 carbon, so in the molecular formula we're going to have 6 carbons. In the empirical formula we had 2 hydrogens, so in the molecular formula we're going to have 12 hydrogens. And finally in the empirical formula we had 1 oxygen, so in the molecular formula we're going to have 6 oxygens. So now we have our molecular formula written, and that looks familiar. It's glucose, so we're all good.